Hi, this is George Swirl. Welcome to the Route 6 Auto Show. Fluids play a very important part in the operation of your car. Keeping a schedule of changing and checking your fluids will keep your car running better and individual parts lasting longer. Hi, Glenn.
Hi, George.
How you doing?
Okay, how are you?
What's the first thing we do?
First we're going to talk about is the windshield wiper solvent.
Okay.
Now, solvent comes two different ways. It comes already pre-mixed, and it comes concentrated.
Okay, now what's better to use for the car?
It really doesn't matter. The concentrated will probably, they're both antifreezes, okay? The concentrate you can mix to go to colder weather so it doesn't freeze up.
Okay.
Okay? Where this is a constant, you can't change it.
All right.
Okay? It's real easy to check, and you want to keep it full at all times, because if you're driving down the highway and a truck drives by and splashes your windshield, you want to be able to clean it. You don't want to look through the dirty window.
Okay. So that's fun.
All right. All you have to do is pull off the cap. It comes off real easy. And this one's a little low. You can just tell by looking at it that it's low. There's no measurement stick or anything. So you just untwist it and pour a little in. And that's full.
So, kind of recommend the bigger jug then for like when you're on a road or something and you need fluid.
Yeah, you might want to carry some around with you, or just check it as part of your general maintenance.
Okay.
All right. All right. Next, we're going to talk about the brake fluid.
Okay.
Which is right next door here. Now, to check the brake fluid, you get a screwdriver. Here's the brake fluid.
All right.
Okay. All you have to do is with the screwdriver remove the cap from the master cylinder. Okay, which is held on by this clamp, and pull it off.
Okay.
Now you can see this one is full, so you don't have to add anything to it. But if it gets low, you should just pour it right in.
Okay. Now, is there any certain kind of brake fluid you have to use?
The .3 is generally what every manufacturer recommends. So if you have any doubt, just check your manual.
Okay.
And that'll tell you.
All right.
All right. Brake fluid is it's brownish in color, and it's a real thin liquid. It's not like oil. So in case you're leaking, if you're low constantly when you're checking, and you can check the ground, and if you're leaking, it'll be the light brown, and you can tell that that's your problem, and then you can check it and take care of the leak.
All right.
All right. Next, we're going to check the power steering unit, which is located right underneath the air conditioner on this car. Okay. It's a little twist top that you pull off. We'll get a rag up here. And as you can see on here, it has a little scale of full hot and full cold.
Okay.
Okay. The engine is cool, so we'll go by that scale. You wipe it off, take all the old, and you put it right in. Give it a minute to sit. Pull it out, and you can see we're full on the cold.
Okay.
So we don't have to add anything.
So, Glenn, how would you fill up the power steering if it's empty?
You can just pour it right into the power steering unit.
Okay.
Power steering fluid comes in a small container, and it's easy to pour in, so you can get in there. Transmission fluid can also be used in the power steering unit.
Okay.
But do not use power steering fluid.
Next question.
In the transmission. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Glenn. What's next? What do we check next?
We're going to check the antifreeze in the radiator.
Okay.
All right. While we're going over there. All right. First off, you never want to pull off this cap.
No.
Okay, to check it. You got your overflow tank.
Okay.
And it says, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, do all cars have this, or?
Most cars do, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And what it says, we got full hot and full cold. The car is cold right now, so we have to fill it up to that line. It's going to need a little bit. So we're just going to fill it with a little bit with antifreeze. Okay. Now, we're using antifreeze instead of water because since we're adding to the mixture, that about does it. Since we're adding, we don't want to just add water because that'll dilute it a little bit. So we're putting in antifreeze, which will help you in the summer and in the winter. It'll keep the car.
All right. Now, is there any type of brand of antifreeze you're supposed to use? There
are different brands, but there's not a different kind of antifreeze.
Oh, okay.
Okay, there's only one
kind
of antifreeze. Antifreeze, as you notice, has a green-yellow color to it. And again, if you're leaking antifreeze, it's easy to tell because you look at the color of it and you can see that you're leaking that. Some antifreezes are other colors, blue and such. You can usually tell.
Okay. All right, Glenn, how would we change the fluid in the radiator?
All right, well, the first thing you want to do is you'll have to remove the radiator cap.
All right.
And then underneath there's like a wing nut that you will unscrew and the fluid drains out. That's at the bottom of the radiator. And the fluid will drain out of there, and then you just tighten it up and refill the radiator.
Okay.
You could also pull off the bottom hose. That'll drain it a little quicker But it's suggested to use the wing nut.
Okay, now what if you have a leak in your radiator? Is there something to use to fix that leak?
Yeah, they have a stop leak, it's called, that you can pour into the radiator that will fill up the hole. Or if it's a bad hole, you'll have to pull the radiator out. You can take it to a radiator repair shop and they put some solder on it
Okay.
to stop the hole.
What's our next job?
All right, next we're going to check the transmission fluid.
All right, where's that
The
located?
dipstick is located in the back.
All right.
And reach across here. You pull out the dipstick, you want to wipe off the oil that's on there, the fluid.
Okay, now it's got that wording on there. What
It's
is
got
it?
wording on here. It says, add 1 pint, full hot, and it says check-in park, trans hot, engine and idle. Okay? So what we want to do is we want to check it while the engine's idling.
Okay.
All right? So why don't you go start the engine?
All right.
I'll put this back.
Ready?
Yep, go ahead. All right, George. Pull it out. And you can see it's right up to the full hot line.
Okay.
Okay? And the engine's idling, so it's an accurate reading.
Okay, now to fill transmission fluid, how would we do that?
Okay. Well, why don't you shut up the engine and we'll talk.
Okay.
I want you to grab the transmission fluid that's down there.
Okay.
There are 2 types of transmission fluid. There's the Dextron 2 and the Type F.
Okay, now what's the difference?
Okay, Type F is used in Ford cars.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Dextron 2 is used in GM products and Pontiac, Chrysler, Plymouth products.
Okay.
Okay? What you do is you just pour it right into where the dipstick is, using a funnel. Since we're full, we don't need to add any.
All right.
But that's where you would put it.
Okay.
And a little tip that somebody told me is that you might want to paint the dipstick, the top of the dipstick, red, because the fluid is red, so it's easy to find if you're checking it at night or whatever. Then you'd go to the dipstick on the oil, and you'd paint that a blue, so you could tell them apart.
Okay, what if it happens if you overfill it? Is it?
That's bad for the transmission. You should be real careful, add a little bit at a time, and keep checking it so that you don't overfill it.
Okay.
All right? Now we're going to go to the oil and check the oil. Get this out of the way. Why don't you grab the rag that's down on the floor there?
Okay.
And the dipstick is located right by the valve cover here. All right? And you want to pull it out. You want to wipe it off.
Okay.
And as you can see on here, it says add 1 quart in full. Okay? So we're just going to put it back. Let it sit. And you can see we're low about 1 quart.
Okay, so how we add that now?
All right, we add the fluid right here in the valve cover. There's a cap here that we remove, and you pour it right inside.
Pour it right inside the thing?
Right.
Okay.
All right. We're not going to add a quart today because we're going to change the oil.
Okay, Glenn, what's the first thing we do to change the oil?
Well, the first thing I like to do is get everything I need.
Okay.
All right. So we got everything down here. We've got an oil pan to drain the old oil in. We've got new oil. We've got an oil filter, which you should check and make sure you got the right filter for your car.
Okay.
All right. We've got our wrench with the right end socket on it. And we've got the oil filter wrench for pulling up the old filter, putting on the new. And we got the spout for the oil.
Okay.
All right. The jack's underneath the car. We got the creeper down there. So we're ready to start.
All righty.
Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull off the oil cover cap that's on the valve cover. And now we're going to jack up the car.
Okay.
Remember when you're jacking up the car to have it under a solid part, like the frame.
All right.
So that it's secure. Jack it up here. You don't want to jack it up too far, because then the car will be leaning too far back and all the oil won't drain out of the oil pan.
Okay.
So let's get down there.
Give you a hand here. Okay, ready?
All right. All right. George, if you could hand me the oil pan.
I'll put it around in this thing.
All right. Okay, this is the oil pan that the oil is stored in. This is the bolt you want to remove. So you want to get the pan in and get your wrench. And you're gonna pull this bolt completely out. I think we can do it by hand now. Put the pan under. And the oil will drain out. Okay, you want to be careful not to lose this. It has a little washer on it that'll keep the oil in, and you just want to let all the oil drain out.
Glenn, what kind of oil can you put in your car?
Well, there are several different kinds of oil in different viscosities or weights of oil. Generally, use a 10W30 for winter and a 1040 for summer, or you could use a 1040 all year round. Your owner's manual will suggest the best oil for your car.
Okay. Glenn, other than mileage, how else do you know when you should change your oil?
Well, you can look at the oil, get some on my hand here, and it's a real dark color and it looks dirty. Sometimes it'll even feel a little gritty if your engine's dirty. So that's another way of telling. This oil actually isn't too bad. I change it often so that hopefully the engine will keep clean so you won't have dirty oil all the time. That's about all we're going to drain out. We'll put the plug right back in. And we'll move the pan. Clean off the bolt and around the area. And you want to tighten it down. You don't want to tighten it too tight because you don't want to strip the oil pan or the bolt because those strip easy. Just snug it up and the washer will keep it from leaking. Now Doug is going to remove the old oil filter.
What kind of wrench is that?
That's an oil filter wrench. You want to make sure you get the right size wrench for your filter. And they're not too expensive. Just loosen it up with the wrench. Then you can loosen it by hand. And be careful not to spill the oil onto the floor. It can be very messy. Okay, now that we got the old oil filter out, we're going to put the new one in. It's good to lubricate the rubber gasket around the new filter with some of the old oil. That way it won't dry out on you and leak. Alright, so now that we got it oiled up, it screws up just like the other one screwed out. You want to tighten it down to where you can't tighten it with your hands anymore, and then just snug it up with the oil filter wrench. Okay, so we're snugging it up as tight as we can with our hand. And we'll get the wrench out. And we need to set the wrench to the widest point on this one again. Just, like I said, you just want to snug it up a little bit. You don't want to tighten it too far down because you don't want to strip these either. The oil filter strips out real easily. And tighten it up. And then we'll move to the top of the car and we'll put the new oil in. A car this size will generally take 5 quarts of oil, and only 4 quarts if you're not changing the oil filter. So let's go up to the top and put in the new oil.
How many quarts should you use on those cars?
This is a 5 quart.
5 quart?
Because we changed the filter. If you're not changing the filter, if you're just going to change the oil, you go 4 quarts.
Okay.
Alright. And that will just pour in.
Okay, should you check the oil after you put the quarts in?
Yeah, check the oil, make sure that it's to the top. Then you also want to go underneath the car and check where the filter is and where the plug is that you put in to make sure they're not leaking.
Okay, so if they're leaking, just tighten them back up, or?
Yeah, you better tighten them down a
Okay.
little bit. All right, then you want to grab me the next quart?
Sure. There you go.
All right, sometimes depending, oil filters usually, I change them, like every other time that I change the oil on the car. But you don't necessarily have to. You can, go every other time, every time. It doesn't matter. They usually last a little bit longer, but, it's up to you, really.
Okay.
They do make longer life oil filters now, dual filter. So those usually last a little bit longer too. And this will be our last quart in here.
Okay.
So as soon as that's done, we'll tighten her down.
All right.
Button it up. All right. Put that off to the side. Put the cap back on. I'm gonna just go down and see if there's any leaks under there.
Okay.
I don't see anything dripping down at all.
All right.
So I think that's it. Next, we're gonna grease the front end.
Okay, Glenn, what are we going to be doing now?
Okay, George, right now we're gonna grease the steering and the suspension system.
Okay.
And what you need is a grease gun, and you have grease fittings like this one. And what you do is you fit the end of the grease gun, and it just pushes right onto the fitting. And we have those located in all parts of the front end. We've got one here, we've got one located down here, and there's one on each side. So what we're going to do is we have to clean this grease fitting off first. And what this does is it greases a bushing that's in between these two pieces of metal. So let's get going. This just pushes right up onto here.
Okay, now, why is this important to do?
Okay, it's to keep those bushings that are right in here greased up so they don't dry out and they don't fall apart on you.
All right.
All right, so once you get the grease gun connected, you just push down on this trigger, and that forces grease up into the bushing area.
Okay.
And now it'll start to seep out on the sides, and that's how you know when you've got enough on there. You can see it seeping out in through here. Okay, I put a little too much on there just so you can see it. And you want to do that to all the fittings underneath, and that just pulls right out.
Okay, now when should you do this?
I like to do this as, you can see when they're starting to dry out on here. So I usually will check that. Or once every 6 months is a good
6
time
months?
to do it. Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll grease this one up here.
All right.
All right, and it's seeping through, so that's good. And that's the greasing of the car. All right. All right, George, there's another fluid that we have to check in the car, and that's in the differential.
All right.
All right, and front-wheel drive cars, mid-engine and rear-engine cars, they don't have a differential. They have what's called a transaxle. And the rear-wheel drive cars, the differential is located in the back of the car. That's what propels the car and rotates the tires.
Okay, what's the difference between the differential and the transaxle?
Okay, the transaxle is a transmission and like the differential all in one. It's the axle, the trans and the axle together. And that's located in the front of the car, right underneath the engine. Okay, and the differential is in the rear of the car for a rear-wheel drive car.
Okay.
Okay.
How do we start?
Okay, what we want to do is we go underneath the car here at the differential, and you see the plug in there?
Yes.
Okay, we want to pull the plug out.
Okay.
Okay, and then you take your finger and you can put your finger in the hole, and you can feel the gear lube that's inside of it.
Okay.
Fluid. Okay, and what it should be is it should be to the top of the hole there. Okay, and if it's not, you can feel with your finger on how low you are, and then you get gear lube and you fill it up.
Okay.
It's important to check the differential and the gear lube in it when the car is at a normal position, a flat position. We have the car jacked up today just so we can see underneath.
Is there
that.
different types of gear lube to use?
No, well, you could use gear lube in there, or you can use a heavyweight oil, either.
Like a 10-to-be-40?
Yeah, but check your owner's manual. They'll be able to tell you which to use.
Glenn, how often should we check the gear lube?
Well, we should check the gear lube about once a year, but the gear lube generally lasts the lifetime of the car, but to be safe, check it once a year.
All right.
Okay, George, that's about it. I just wanted to state that, checking your fluids and stuff like that should be done, once a week. Like I said, it doesn't take very long to do, so, and it'll save you a lot of money in the long run. The one thing I wanted to mention is when you're checking for the leaks in the oil, do that when the engine's running also, okay? Because that way the oil is circulating and just make sure it's not leaking then. All right?
All right. Thanks a lot. Well, that's it for today's show. We hope you found it informative and interesting. Remember, the problems we discuss on the show come from the problems that most people have with their own car. Well, for myself, George Thurl, and Glenn Seelig, that's it for today on Route 6 Auto Show.